How are you? How's life behind the shades?
It's good.
Yeah?
I was like, the last guys when I was in the green room had the shades on, so I said, you know what? I'm gonna have the shades on.
It looks good. It looks good. On you, it works.
Thank you.
So
I need more things in my eyes besides the hair. I need glasses.
you need glasses?
Yeah,
You need
yeah.
to put a little distance between
It's
you
so
and the rest
very
of the world?
shy that I just have to. Yeah.
But you're not shy at all, are you?
No.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to be, I think.
So I was listening to this record over the last few days.
Yeah.
This came out in Canada and the rest of the world last year.
Well, this version hasn't been out at all. I mean,
Okay.
there's like it was like an EP,
Right.
and then it was like a full-length album, I guess, with like all the songs from
Right.
the EP on it
Right.
that came out in like December, and now this record is actually a deluxe record in Europe.
Has added tracks that we haven't heard before.
Yeah, there's 4 extra tracks on the deluxe record in Europe, but I think here, like, there's a bunch of tracks that people haven't heard, maybe.
But what I was going to say is that I first got to hear your music. You made a record for Warner's, and then I'm listening to this record, and they're different experiences. Each have a lot of range, and with you got an incredible vocal range, but also a stylistic range on this. I mean, it's got a pop edge, it's got a roots edge. There are these like almost operatic backing vocals popping up.
I think, like when I spent all that time being a songwriter, or like, I mean, I spent like 2006 to 2009, I was in the major label system, and I wrote like in and around like 140 songs,
Wow.
And no record came out. So,
Right. Now, when you say in the major label system,
I was on Island Def Jam and Universal, and both things I kind of like, got petered out. I got dropped, and just no record came out. So I had all these songs, and I was like, I was kind of surprised because it was like a lot of hoopla and stuff, like, when I got signed. And then one of the songs got recorded by the Backstreet Boys, oddly to me. I was like, oh, okay. And then it started like, I was kind of, it was like a watershed moment of like, oh, that can happen. You can write a song that's like taken by another artist. And so then I got a publishing deal. I got offered a publishing deal, songwriter deal for, and I started writing as just me, just for other people and just like not being an artist. And that was kind of, I was really cool with that. I was surprisingly cool with that. I was not like...
What's the difference? I mean, you're working on your own material and working on material, and sometimes you're not writing for a specific artist. You're just writing with the idea of putting this out there and seeing where it could be placed, right?
Yeah, it happens both ways. Like sometimes it gets grabbed by somebody. Sometimes you're in a room to write for someone. Like I got a song with Rihanna, and we were in the room to write for her. So that was interesting to me, and I was...
Is that what they sometimes call a songwriting camp? Bring everybody together and
exactly.
see like what comes out of it?
Yeah, and it's interesting, and you just have to kind of go with it. I mean, I don't know. It's like I went through different phases as a songwriter. I felt like I kept trying to write exactly for someone, and thinking I was getting in their head, even to the point where I would read something about someone, like a relationship thing about an artist that I then had to write for, and I'd be like, write this heartbreak song, and then I would actually meet them or write with them later, and they'd be like, no, it was actually a great thing, like, we're friends. I was like, oh, great, okay, so you're not heartbroken at all? Well, so never mind, I wrote a song about how great you are, and it was just like a very interesting kind of thing, and then I kind of morphed into being more like going universal, for like songs like that, and then
Universal meaning like I'm going to write this song, and anybody who feels this way can latch onto it.
And that you can't just do that. I found that like oddly, I think that's what started separating my writing for other people with my own writing, because I would really go delve a little deeper into like more specific scenario kind of things and things that were like more pertinent to my life.
Well, let's backtrack for just a second. You mentioned you had a song that you wrote for Rihanna. That song was a top 10 hit. Not a bad thing at all.
Yeah, it was cool. It was the last single released on Loud, and it was like, as a songwriter, you're always kind of like, and it was supposed to be the first single, and they kept me waiting. I was like, it's the next, no, and it was finally the last single, and then it was, every other single got like a lot more time out there, but this single, since it was the last one, that single, what was that, the huge song, gosh, from the next record came out and just like absolutely crushed. It was like one of the
Oh, your song came out and then the momentum is
but-
killed by
no one knew that she was to drop a record that fast, you know.
Right.
So, but yeah, you never know, man. Songs come and go very.
And at
quick.
that point, you'd been based in New York. Had you moved to LA at that point, or?
Yeah, I was going back and forth to LA when I was in that major label deal system for like 3 years, and I was going back and forth to write, and then I built such roots there, and then as a writer, there were just so many more opportunities
Right.
in LA. I mean, I think there's slightly more opportunities now in New York too, but really, there's so much writing there. Like I was able to I would do 2 sessions a day every day for a while,
Right.
And here I got a third of that work. Like,
And I know a lot of people who are in bands who have drifted out to Los Angeles
Yeah.
for the purpose of songwriting. You must know plenty of folks as well.
many, yeah. And it's I don't know. I feel for some reason I feel the muse very strongly out there. I don't know what, and sometimes I attribute it to here. Like I associate New York with the struggle a bit, even though some good things did happen. But I don't know. It's very vertical here. I feel like it was odd. I didn't notice it until I moved out there, and then I was like, I felt a little like more open and
More horizontal, more
yeah,
space to drive around.
It's once it's nice to be horizontal when you're vertical all the time.
Yeah,
It was
I
nice.
suddenly had an image, so
It's
I have to bring
refreshing.
myself back here.
And we're back.
So you made the transition. You were living out there full time and devoting yourself to songwriting. How'd you come back to being a recording artist?
As I was writing, there was this night at this place called Bardot out there, and it was like a live band singing covers, and me and my songwriter friends would go there, and I'd jump up and sing a song or whatever. And then I started doing it every week, it was like my night out or whatever, or one of my many nights out. I'm not gonna lie, it's like my one night out, It's my one singing night out, yeah. So I just went, and then people started coming to see me, and I don't know, I just kind of fell in love with that again. But I was getting some new management as a songwriter, and they were like, we listen to your old stuff, and I just feel like you should maybe, not stop being an artist. And it was weird. I was starting to play the ukulele just for myself, just for fun, just and it kind of just made me fall in love with music again. I started playing covers, singing covers, and for me, whenever I delve into another artist's work, it always kind of lifts up my songwriting, and it's almost like I snowball it into my kind of, what I'm feeling or how I'd like to write. Like a lot of the music on this was inspired because I was asked to sing a Paul Simon tribute at Carnegie Hall. And I sang Slip Sliding Away, and I wanted to sing that song Still Crazy, and I was just really looking at all his work from then, and it had this very kind of adult love song kind of thing, but not in just very poignant observations of what happens in your first adult romance. Not
And the amazing thing, of course, is at that point, those were kind of adult songs, but
Yeah.
that was one of the biggest records of that
exactly.
period.
It was a pop song that was about
Bumping into your
Yeah,
old lover
yeah,
on the street
yeah,
last
and
night.
being
It sounds
and you-
sounds a little bit like a text.
yeah, and you
you're
knew
sending
you were
somebody.
you tore each other up. You really you loved and hated this person so much you could barely stand it. And I fell in love with that idea, and so things like that inspire me all the time. So I think when I was singing all those songs at this club, I just was I was just on fire, and then so I just started writing for myself with the ukulele and just feeling really inspired. And then I wrote this song called Into the Wild, and then I got signed to Warner Brothers again as an artist. And
Now, the ukulele, that wasn't your instrument growing up.
no,
What was your instrument growing up?
I wasn't more my voice. I didn't really think I was gonna do this. So I started playing guitar later, and then and I love guitar. I still play it, but I just the ukulele was just kind of because I feel when you go to a songwriting session, when you bring a guitar, everyone's yep. It seems so
Seems kind of serious.
Yeah, it seems so presumptuous and
Yeah.
serious. It's people don't really write like that all the time, even though they do. But it just seems like you're kind of setting the tone of I'm going to write this on guitar now. And and the ukulele was just almost like a joke to
Right.
people. I just put it there, and sometimes even on big urban songs, I'd go in the corner and write lyrics to it, like just with the chords, so I didn't have to listen to the thump too much, like more, because it was like you listen to that all day long. So I don't know, I just like kind of like, it was an off the cuff thing.
So the uke has to bring a more playful vibe to those situations.
Yeah, and then but it also was a very serious instrument to me. I've written some songs that like are kind of dark and very serious on it. I don't know, I just fell in love with it. It just like kind of spoke to my soul, you know, and it was lovely to fall in love with music again, because being in the major, I had indie deals before that, being in the major label system like that, like I say it lightly, like, oh, I wrote 140 songs in 3 years and I didn't put a record out. That's not, didn't feel great, you know what I mean? And but like,
I mean, it's like going to the prom 140 times and not getting in, right?
Yeah.
Not getting in the front door.
not getting any, you know what, I mean, this is
That
like
too, sure.
no limo back seat stuff.
No
None of that.
no slip sliding
Yeah, no.
away.
Uh-oh.
All right.
Whew. Anyway, and we're off. So yeah. So I just, but the window out of that, room was like the songwriting, and so I didn't get time to like really dwell and feel bad. It was like I just kept going into the songwriting thing, and then and I've watched a lot of artists do this. They go and they songwrite for a while, and then it brings them back to their artist career. It's very interesting and inspiring, because it's really all about songs. Like to me, there is no rest, and that was one very freeing thing I felt like when I realized that, like, whether I write a hit song or not a hit song, I have to write another song. Because if you write a hit song, everybody wants another hit song, and if you write a shit song, everyone wants another hit song,
You made this record for Warner's. It does feel, listening to it now, like somebody said, hey, you write hit songs. Will you write some for us?
Yeah. Oh, the last record. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt like that was like it got like, someone's like, it got greedy in a way. Like it's way overproduced, and there was just like, I felt like the landscape of that record got destroyed for me. Like I've been through like a lot of like twists and turns and a lot of deals, obviously, and you're not prepared for how things go down. I have a little bit of a people pleaser nature sometimes in that regard, even though I seem like I'd be like, no, but I like, I like a good vibe, and so I think I gave up some songs and it got too samey, and then I was like sorry for that, and just like, and a voice is a very like tenuous kind of like fragile thing, and I feel like too much production on my voice was the wrong thing, and it just got out of my hands, and no hard feelings. I mean, shit happens,
Right. But the interesting thing being that this record, which is more varied and maybe more reflective of who you are and what you're about.
Yeah,
this produced a hit overseas.
Yeah, and the
right?
guy that produced this produced a lot of my other stuff that the other guy reproduced.
The other guy.
The
Warner guy. Yeah, no names.
Yeah, but I was, like,
you got a chance to
we
make
did it
the
our
record
way.
you wanted.
Yeah,
right.
exactly, and it worked, and it feels really nice. Like it's very satisfying, and.
So I had read a piece in Billboard that Lost on You became this surprise hit growing out of Greece. And at one point was the number 4 Shazammed song in the world. A stat that kind of sticks with you, actually.
It was very interesting. I was, I played Lost on You and Muddy Waters and a song called Strange for Warner Brothers. And there was, because it was a new regime, and they dropped me like 3 weeks later, and then I got picked up by a little label that I loved called Vagrant, that I always wanted to be on, really what I wanted to be on before I signed to Warner Brothers. And we were gonna put the record out and just like kind of like see what happened, and we did. Like a couple of things, went high up on Hype Machine, and it was cool, and I was just like, I'll tour a little bit and whatever. And then some guy, it was like, I didn't check my direct messages on Instagram much for a while, because it was, whatever. And then I suddenly did. And, I checked when I missed out on a show. So I was like, oh, I got to check these DMs more, Right. And so I checked it, and the guy from Greece was like, hey, man, I run a label out in Greece, and I really think your music would work here, and I'd love to license it. And so can I have your people's information, because I can't get in touch with your label for some reason. And I was like, okay. But I thought he meant like he wanted to put in a movie or a TV show. Okay. He meant he wanted to license it to like sell it and in there. And then it's like, and that's the interesting thing. As much as you can experience as you have, and I meet people that are very high up in this business that don't know things about other things, that I'm like shocked. I'm like, you don't know how that works? Wow, but there's so much to know. And so this guy put it out, and it went to #1 for like 8 months, and then but all these other countries started following suit, and then I haven't really been home like since the summer.
You haven't been home. I mean, that was like
No.
last summer and fall, right? Into the fall. Or,
Yeah, it started like I was on tour here, opening up slot, and then September 1st I went to Europe, and I literally have been back very rarely since then, and it's been like it's just going up, and like as far as like, places I've been playing bigger and bigger places, and it's been such a
Yeah, you were saying
heady,
backstage
weird,
that the
but,
shows
yeah.
overseas right now have really been
Yeah.
popping off.
Yeah, it's been wild. It's cool.
This record, "Lost on You," is the title track.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a transitional song, a song about a relationship and lost time. But did I read that you actually wrote it before you, in fact, transitioned out of a
Yeah.
long-term relationship?
Transitioned is a good word. I like that.
Ended. when-
Yeah, I just it was like so it's not exactly a breakup song. It's like the kind of shake it loose kind of song. I just feel like when like you're just like destroying each other and you don't really know like, and you're both like kind of too proud or whatever to admit it. And I feel like it was like that phase where I really didn't want it to end, but I knew that it was like ending, and I was like kind of bummed out about all the things that I lost with it, and that it was lost on this person. Like they weren't seeing like
Oh, I
that it
see.
was like,
Right.
yeah. So I felt like it just poured out, and I didn't break up with her for like a year.
After you'd written the song?
Yeah.
And was it floating around in your head? Did the song clarify that feeling for you, or was it just like after you had broken up, you thought, oh, that's what that song means?
No, I knew
knew.
what it was about, and
Yeah.
that was the funny part. Like she loved that song.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was like, I think this is a really, big song. I was like, oh, good. It's gonna like, and now I'm gonna like, the next song I write is gonna be like, thank you for my house. You're the best.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really weird.
That's really, so it's almost like you're writing the story that you're living, and somebody else is reading it and going, oh yeah, that's painful. I like it.
I was with a narcissist.
Wow.
Shh, don't.
Yeah. So didn't say that out loud, did you?
No.
Okay. How much do you draw from your life when you're writing?
A lot, I think, but it's also, it tends to be like almost like, I'm a mood cultivator, I think, I feel like that's the space that I write a song from. And I think that's like, and I could get in that, mood very easily. But I can hear sometimes that it's other things in other people's lives sometimes, but I think 95% is from my life, I mean, I go pretty hard in relationships. I've been through some stuff, so I feel comfortable. And I feel like writing songs so much for so long has gotten me more tapped in, where I feel like I can access it a little easier and feel like it's just resonates in my heart. I don't know. So that I feel like that was like, writing so many songs sometimes felt like so like, what am I doing like this? Like I'd be in sessions sometimes, I'd be like screaming in my head like, I gotta get out of here, man. I just like write myself out of the room, be like, that's great, fantastic, okay, bye. But it was like, but it really helped me, because like when you're the songwriter, you can't like be like, I'm not in the mood today. And I got to see it both, because when you're the artist, everybody's like kissing your butt, like, okay, all right, well, if you're not in the mood, okay, no, you should go to the beach. You're right. Go to the beach.
Go to the beach.
When you're the songwriter, you're like, I hate this kid. I don't want to write a song with them. They're terrible or whatever. And you can't be like, I'm going to the beach. I mean, you can. I have. Because I really don't care. Or it's just like, I'd just be like, we need beers in here, right now.
Right.
But yeah, I just, you have to kind of stay, it's your job. So it's it became like a skill, like a school almost of how to deal with, like accessing the muse when you don't feel like it, when you're not,
Right.
I think that was the best thing that ever happened to me when I didn't like, because when I started, I was like, I write 13 songs, put them on a CD and be like, I'm a genius, listen to this, And then I started writing like, 100 songs a year, 80 to 100 songs a year, and maybe getting 5 cuts or 6 or 7, and yeah, it's a very interesting, humbling experience, and also just, skill.
Are you still writing that many songs, or?
You know, I haven't recently because I've been touring so much, but I've been like collecting. It feels nice. This is the first time in years that I
Recharging.
haven't been, that I haven't had, a gun pointed in my head for to write. But I feel very inspired, so that's nice.
Okay. We got time for some questions from the audience. We got one right up front here.
Hello. Through the many songs that you wrote over your career and the different artists that recorded some of them, which artist to you was the most flattering to have known that they recorded your song?
And we should point out you wrote for a variety of people. Backstreet Boys recorded one of your songs early on. Cher, Christina Aguilera, Rihanna.
Leona Lewis and Rita Ora and Joe Walsh.
Joe Walsh, I did notice
funny,
that.
yeah. But like,
life's been good to you.
very good so far. But yeah, I think for me it was Rihanna just because I felt like it was not because she's like the coolest or the biggest but I just like
kind of is,
kind of is, but
kind of
like I love her voice. I mean, and she's incredibly awesome. But I just felt like it was a coup for me because I was like, if you asked me if I'd ever like write a Rihanna song or even ask people that are friends with me or work with me, they would say, I wouldn't like I didn't see that coming. And I felt like I really worked at being more eclectic in my writing. And I think because when I became just a songwriter, I was like, well, I can't write the way I've written for myself over and over and over again. It just like lessens the chance of me getting cut. So I tried to write with as many people from as many different genres and like different like variety of like styles so that I can do it. And I just felt really lucky and stoked that I got a Rihanna song because it was unexpected for me.
And that song Cheers, that was even kind of a change of pace song for her.
Yeah.
I mean
it's kind of poppy for her, I will admit. It's not like super urban or anything like that, but it was like, it was just an interesting artist to get a cut with.
Right. Right. Yeah. We got one more back here.
Hi. First, thank you for even returning back to become an artist again.
Oh, man, thank
my
you.
question is, I have an 8-year-old autistic grandson, and his tantrums can be a bit much. I actually DM'd you, now that you were talking about it, a video of him falling asleep to Lost on You. That's like his favorite song now. And my question is, would you ever consider maybe incorporating something that would be geared towards, whether it just be children in general? Because it seems to work.
I would love that. Yeah, I haven't, I get a lot of really cool, I'm sorry if I haven't seen that. I know, when did you send it?
A few weeks ago, because I'm an artist myself and I have a radio station, and I actually reached out to try to get an interview, but then...
Oh, wow. What's your handle on the thing?
It's Finding My Purpose 10.
Okay, cool. I'm
Yeah.
gonna go look for it. But yeah, I would love to do that. There's a lot of children that like come to my shows and like my music, so I don't know. I would
the
be
whistling.
totally into it. Yeah,
Break
the whistling.
out- break out
They're
the
fascinated by
ukulele.
the whistling. Yeah, it's like everything about me is kind of small. I play a small guitar. I'm small.
Big voice. I mean,
Yeah, that's the biggest part. There are a few other things. I'm not
wow.
gonna tell you.
Okay. I have no idea what that means. So we got time for one more question.
Hello. How you doing? I love Muddy Waters.
Thank
What
you.
inspired it?
That was the same woman. It was like the confusion song. It was like kind of like fighting my way out of the confusion, and I was it just felt ominous. Like that was the thing. I'm sure everyone's been in a breakup, and when it's just feeling very heavy and very ominous. And I was kind of like comparing a relationship to like destroying the planet. How like you just keep doing it, and it's like a finite situation where like you can only destroy it for so long before it's like spent and over. And that's what I felt like we were doing. And I just was like, I don't know. I just wanted it to feel very like kind of like holy, like on your soul, And I was in England with this guy named Josh Record. I wrote the song with him. That's his real name. And we just had this weird chains thing in the studio. It was the jankiest studio of all time. We wound up going home and writing it in his bedroom because it was just like, it looked like a bomb shelter with a bad 4-year-old computer. Like it was just like, you were just like, okay. So it was like caveman songwriting. And then I don't know, and it felt very ominous. So it was like we went back to his house, and it was just came very fast. It was cool.
Wow, a breakup is like destroying the planet.
Yeah.
An inconvenient truth just became a whole new movie for me.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, that's all the time we have for LP. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys. Thanks.